very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Stevin Machado.
And I'm Hiruni Karunaratna. Here are tonight's top stories. Fighting corruption is dangerous, but not fighting is even more dangerous. President tells UN.
අප තබන පළමු පියවර අසිරු විය හැකි. නමුත් අප නිර්භීතව තබන පියවර නිවැරදි නම් ඒ පියවර පිටුපස තවත් පියවර දහස් ගණනක් අප සමග ඒවියයි මා විශ්වාස කරනවා.
Cable cart tragedy in Malsiripura Nauyana Monastery kills 7 monks. 4 dead in Thalaba road accident. CEB and its subsidiary companies summoned to cope.
59,43,680 සෙල්ලම් පාඩුව නෙමෙයිනේ.
Documents related to Midania containers found at the home of Pohot Tours Sampath Manamperi. Parliament debates drug trafficking, criminal gangs and political affiliations.
මේ සම්පත් මනම්පේරි පොහොට් පේවර් මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක් හිටපු ජෝන්ස්ටන් ඇමතිවරයාගේ සම්බන්ධීකරණ ලේකම්වරයා.
In a top story tonight, President Anurukumar Dissanayake, addressing world leaders in New York, said that the fight against corruption is dangerous, but emphasized that not fighting against corruption is even more dangerous. He addressed the United Nations General Assembly around 12:45 this morning, Sri Lanka time.
The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Anurukumara Dissanayake, Head of State and President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka.
Addressing the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, President Anurukumara Dissanayake focused on 3 main issues. The fundamental points of his speech were combating corruption, the fight against the drug menace and war conflicts.
Madam President, honoured guests, we regard corruption as an epidemic causing widespread harm to broad swathes of society. We believe corruption to be an obstruction for development, a decisive threat to democracy and global well-being, and also cause for poverty. Let me remind you that fighting corruption is dangerous, but not fighting corruption is even more dangerous. The first step may be difficult, but if the courageous first step we take is correct, 1,000 steps will follow. That is what I believe. I represent a small island of nearly 22 million people. It is true that we are small in size and in numbers, yet we have begun the struggle against corruption for the future generations of our country and the world. I propose that corruption should become an integral part of the culture of all UN member countries. The struggle against corruption.
The President emphasized the need to activate a global agenda to free the world from the drug menace.
Drugs and organized crime linked to drugs have become a serious concern to this world. This has been acknowledged in the World Drug Report 2025 published by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. The drug problem is a complex issue affecting millions of people globally. The market for drugs and the related criminal organizations are creating issues globally. They pose a major threat to global health and global politics, and eventually global well-being as well. While Sri Lanka is taking effective steps to address this challenge, I respectfully request all of you to join in the effort to implement the global agenda on drugs and crime.
The President also pointed out that legitimate security and human rights issues of both Palestinians and Israelis should be recognized.
I feel confident that all of you will join me in condemning war. As a country that lived through a 3-decade war, we know well the futility of war. Even as suffering caused by conflict has reached unprecedented levels, the international community has become reduced to bystanders. Opportunistic power politics has turned the lives of children and innocent civilians into a game. No one has the right to inflict pain and suffering on another to enhance one's own power. The duty of a ruler is not to destroy lives, but to protect them. We are deeply distressed by the ongoing catastrophe in the Gaza Strip. The United Nations organization and all related parties must work towards an immediate ceasefire, enable adequate humanitarian aid to these areas, and to ensure the release of hostages of all parties. We recognize the Palestinian people's inalienable right to their own state. We also believe that legal, security and humanitarian concerns of Israel and Palestinian people need to be acknowledged. The time has come for the international community to stop being a mere spectator and to move decisively to end the suffering of millions.
President Anurukumara Dissanayake, who is in New York to attend the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, met with Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif yesterday. Discussions focused on further strengthening the long-standing friendship between Sri Lanka and Pakistan while enhancing bilateral cooperation. The President also held talks with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. The two leaders paid particular attention to expanding economic and trade cooperation as well as reinforcing bilateral ties. In addition, President Dissanayake met with Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, where discussions are centered on boosting bilateral trade and tourism partnerships.
7 Theros from the Na Uyana Aranya Senasana in Malsiripura passed away in a sudden accident last night. The accident occurred when the cable cart they used to travel within the monastery suddenly collapsed. 3 of the deceased were venerable Theros from overseas, and it is reported that 2 of the 6 injured are in critical condition. The Na Uyana Aranya Senasana is a 5,000-acre forest monastery located on the Karanampula mountain range in Pansiyagama, Malsiripura in the Kurunagala district. Approximately 200 local and foreign Theros reside here. The meditation huts where the Theros practice are located on the upper part of the mountain. To access these huts, a cable cart that runs on 2 rails is used for transport, and the journey covers a distance of almost a kilometer. Around 9:15 p.m. yesterday, 13 Theros were travelling on the cable cart when it suddenly collapsed on the upper part of the mountain. The police stated that the accident may have been the result of the cables breaking due to the number of passengers exceeding the maximum limit.
मैं गल गाय वाजला हिटिया उतना तमा ඔක්කොම ටික හිටියේ මේ අර හරිය හිටියා මෙතන කීප නමක් හිටියා අර හිගල් දිහා විසිලා හිටියා හී කඩේ හිටියේ හැමතැනම හිටියේ බොඩි තුන නම් පස්සේ අරන් ගියේ අනිත් කටේ රහද්දයි බොහොම මාරු මේ පැත්තෙන් අරන් ගියේ අදින්න බෑ උඩට කන්ද වැඩි හින්දා අල්ලගෙන හිටියා මේ ටෝච් අල්ලගෙන ඉඳි පල්ලෙහාට යද්දි විහිරිලා හැමතැනම තිබ්බේ උඩින් ගිහිලා තිබ්බා මීටර් 150ක් විතර වාගේ දුරට වාගේ විසිලා තිබුණා එහෙම උඩට ගත්තා ඉතින් ඇඳන් දාලා ටට්ටක් ගාලා ඉතින් උඩට ගත්තා කොහොම හරි ඉතින් ගත්තකද ඒ වෙලාවේ 3 නමක් විතර අපවත් වෙලා හිටියා යනකොට තමයි අනිත් කටේ අපවත් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ
මේකේ 10 දෙනෙක් තමයි යන්න පුළුවන් පල්ලෙහායිනුත් තියෙන ස්විච් බෝඩ් එකක් උඩිනුත් තියෙන ස්විච් බෝඩ් එකක් ඔටෝ තමයි යන්නේ පල්ලෙහායින් ස්විච් එක ඕන් කරන් පස්සේ ඔටෝ යනවා ඊට පස්සේ උඩින් ඒක ඕන් කරන් පස්සේ ඔටෝ පල්ලෙහාට ඇවිල්ලා මෙතන ඔෆ් වෙන්නත් මේව එකක් තියෙනවා උඩත් ඔෆ් වෙන්න මේව එකක් තියෙනවා මේකේ යනකොට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා 13 නමක් වගේ උඩට නවතින්න ඕන මෙන්න තියලා මේක නැව මේ ඊට පස්සේ පල්ලෙහාට ඇවිල්ලා ටික දුරක් හිමීට ඇවිල්ලා ඊට පස්සේ හයියෙන් ඇවිල්ලා පල්ලෙහාටම කඩාගෙන ගිහිල්ලා අපේ විසන්නාසලා සියලුම දෙනා ගමේ කට්ටියත් ආවා උදව් වෙලා
The Theros who passed away in the accident were Venerable Malvanegama Samidhi Thero, Navalapithe Uttarananda Thero, Nugegoda Vipassi Thero, Udavalave Santasumana Thero, Dhammagavesi Thero from India, Dhammaransi Thero from Romania, and Dhammarakita Thero from Russia. The ages of the deceased Theros ranged from 27 to 59. 6 injured Theros are currently receiving treatment at the Polpitigama and Kurunagala teaching hospitals. Hospital sources said that the condition of 2 of them are critical. The Mahava magistrate and the government analyst arrived at the site of the accident this afternoon. Deputy Minister Gamagedara Dissanayake also visited the site of the accident.
අනතුරට ලක් වෙච්ච ඩක්කුව යම් මට්ටමකට මං හිතන්නේ අවුරුදු 20ක් විතර කාලයක් තිස්සේ පවත්වාගෙන යන එකක් අපි විශේෂයෙන් මේ සිද්ධිය පාදක කරගෙන බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා එවැනි ස්ථාන තිබෙනවා නම් යම් ආකාරයකට සොයා බැලීමක් කරන්නත් ඒ වගේම යම් අවශ්‍ය කරන නියාමනයකට ලක් කිරීමක් කරන්නත්
It is reported that the remains of the 3 Theros from overseas will be taken back to their respective countries.
4 people were killed and 6 others injured in a collision near the Thalava junction on the Anuradhapura-Kurunagala main road.
A lorry heading towards Kurunagala and a van travelling towards Anuradhapura collided early this morning in Moragoda near the Thalava junction. The 4 victims were passengers in the van. 6 others, including the van driver, along with the lorry driver, were admitted to the Thalava hospital. Police said the condition of the 2 injured passengers remains critical. The van, belonging to a private garment factory, had been en route from Ja'ala to Mulathu at the time of the accident. According to the police, it is suspected stated that the accident occurred as the van driver had fallen asleep at the wheel. It was revealed yesterday at the Committee on Public Enterprises or COPE that an energy shortage, including electricity, oil and gas, was intentionally created in the country under the guise of an economic crisis, plunging the nation into turmoil to achieve other objectives. COPE Chairman Dr. Nishantha Samaravira, who provided a lengthy analysis of the matter, stated that an investigation into these facts is underway. The institutions investigated by the COPE committee yesterday were the Ceylon Electricity Board and its affiliated companies.
5,943,680. It's not a trivial loss, is it? Many people have personally used the money that should have been received by this institution, the wealth that should have remained within the institution. They cut the power for 18.5 hours. A-level students demanded electricity to study for their exams. They said they couldn't give it. However, they passed the proposal to increase the tariff in Parliament, and after that they supplied electricity 24 hours a day. Work down, builds up. That was actually a move to set up commodity prices at a different level in this country. There's nothing else to it. After the country ran out of rupees, after stealing and doing various things, and the rupee ran out, they chose increasing commodity prices as the method to draw out the money in the people's hands. You can't increase commodity prices by 400% or 300% just by issuing announcements. That's when the energy shortage happened. Gas ran out. We say it wasn't a shortage. It was created as a shortage. We are investigating that next. Without increasing the price for a while, they let people wander, stand in queues and kept them maximally inconvenienced. Then they brought 1 or 2 gas ships. The one they bought, they made it explode. The price of gas, which was 1,500 rupees, increased to about 7,500 rupees. Since that day, it hasn't exploded. Isn't that amazing? They created a crisis. Your institution must also be held accountable for that.
The investigation at the COPE committee yesterday also looked into how Lanka Transformer Limited, which was launched as an affiliate company of the Ceylon Electricity Board, has reached a state where it is not even subject to state audit.
LTL Private Limited කෙනෙක් ගත්තම
When you take LTL Private Limited, the shares currently stand at 63% for CEB, 27% for MSAB Norway and 10% is the allocated. However, I don't see any evidence that a director has been legally appointed and brought this under a lawful structure. Why? Because LTL company doesn't come to COPE. The company has shares in the proportions of 63%, 27% and 10%. The 27% group decides to sell their shares. The same management group of the LTL group gets together and creates another company called LTL Ellis Private Limited. They create it and buy those shares from it. They were put up for sale to CEB. But the understanding is that they took it. However, the funds to buy it are provided by taking a loan against the assets of LTL institution itself. Now the problem arises that LTL assets were used to buy those shares. After this, we encounter Lanka Transformer Private Limited as LTL Holdings Private Limited. Now, this has a subsidiary called Lakdanavi Limited, and this subsidiary has a sub-subsidiary called West Coast Private Limited. Now, the Ceylon Electricity Board owes West Coast 79.4 billion rupees. They haven't paid for the electricity purchased. Then, the CEB board decides there is no way to pay this. Since there is no way to pay, they propose that LTL Holdings has CEB shares worth 59.9 billion rupees that belonged to them. They propose to offset that debt by giving some shares to West Coast. A cabinet decision was taken on the 1st of January 2024. When you take LTL Holdings, the shares are now like this: 35% to CEB, 28% to West Coast Private Limited, 27% to Paradiv, which is the company ISOT after its name was changed, and 10% to Tech Pro Investment Lanka. Now, inside this, the group says that only 35% belongs to CEB. Therefore, they cannot come to COPE. Now LTL says it won't come to the COPE committee. The reason is that CEB only holds 35%. But our problem is that this entire transaction was done precisely to evade coming before the COPE committee.
මේ කෝප් කමිටුවට එන එක පවා ගැලවෙන්න ඕනවට.
බබාලනේ මේගොල්ලෝ මේවා මේ purposely කරපුවා.
They are not children. They did these things purposefully. When the 19th Amendment came, they showed a difference between the Sinhala and English clauses on allowing an audit. Went to court and obtained a writ, a prohibition. Then they got another writ. Finally, even after the 20th Amendment addressed the issue, The case continued with the argument that an audit cannot be applied retrospectively. Afterward, the case was withdrawn close to 2024. The parent company agrees to appoint the Auditor General. The subsidiary company goes and files a lawsuit banning the board meeting the commercial code. This means they are purposefully preventing the Auditor General from entering. This is because a certain amount of government money, public money, is inside this. The attempt is to keep the true data about that amount hidden. Honestly, Mr. Chairman, this is an economic assassination. This is a financial crime. This is an issue that should be filed as a complaint with the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Opposition MPs told Parliament today that the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation or HSBC is set to withdraw its business operations from Sri Lanka. Now, is HSBC really leaving Sri Lanka or is there something else happening? This report uncovers the reality behind the claim. When we look at the government's decision today, HSBC Bank, which has been in this country for around 135 years, is now exiting its retail banking business. That sector is being taken over by Nations Trust Bank, and we value that transition. But at the same time, I tell the government that it is not good to let HSBC simply walk away. They are not here only to make money. They also play a role in treasury bonds and bills, which means they are engaged in financial markets. They may bring in money, but the real issue is that they don't contribute to the broader development of our economy. It is truly unfortunate. I'm not sure whether you are aware, but one of the key multinational banks that has been operating in our country for over a century, HSBC, has now decided to leave. They have agreed to sell their operations to a local company. Regardless of what is being said here, the fact remains this highlights a serious issue regarding investment and doing a business in our country today.
Did HSBC really leave Sri Lanka? Nations Trust Bank PLC, a company listed on the Colombo Stock Exchange, issued a clarification in writing to the exchange. According to the letter, on the 24th of September, Nations Trust Bank entered into an agreement with HSBC to acquire its retail banking operations. The transaction is valued at over 18 billion rupees. The letter further noted that the deal had been approved by the Board of Directors of the Nations Trust Bank on the 23rd of September and that the funding would be internally generated while maintaining all regulatory ratios. Chief Government Whip Minister Bimal Ratnayake also addressed the matter.
Recently, global rating agencies such as Standard & Poor's and Moody's upgraded Sri Lanka's rankings. When our government took office in 2024, the Colombo Stock Exchange Index stood at around 10,000 points. Today, it has reached 21,000, showing a clear progress in our economy. There is no doubt that the economy is moving forward. However, companies around the world restructure their operations for various strategic reasons and sometimes because of inefficiencies. There is no doubt that the economy is moving forward. However, companies around the world restructure their operations for various strategic reasons and sometimes because of inefficiencies. You know very well how many private companies collapse globally. So just because a multinational bank scales down or exits a sector here, it does not automatically mean Sri Lanka's economy is in crisis. If that were the case, what about the countless companies that go bankrupt in the US, Japan or even China? This is part of private sector strategy. HSBC's move is simply a decision within their global business plan. We cannot forcefully prevent that.
Now, documents have been found linking two containers seized in Middenniya to the suspected production and transportation of crystal methamphetamine or ice from a house previously occupied by Sampath Manamperi, a former Pradeshya Sabha candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. The Police Narcotics Bureau stated that the containers, suspected of containing materials required for producing ice, included receipts indicating payments made to release them from the port.
On the 17th of September, Sampath Manamperi's lawyers told the court that he was not involved in either the release of or the transport to Middenniya of the two containers suspect of containing raw materials for producing crystal methamphetamine. They explained that Manamperi had intervened only because of local residents' objections to the containers and had taken steps to remove them from the area. However, police investigations conducted following questions posed to Manamperi revealed that the individual who had provided him with accommodation and transport facilities in connection with the containers has been taken into custody. Before being handed over to the court, Manamperi had been secretly provided with such facilities by an employee of the Ceylon Electricity Board. The documents related to the two containers were found in Manamperi's possession while he was residing in Middenia. Police also discovered Manamperi's mobile phone in the possession of this individual. 4 bank cards belonging to him were recovered from the house. It was previously revealed that Manamperi had maintained WhatsApp communications with organised crime figures including Bako Saman, Kehil Badara Padme and Thabili Lahiru.
Meanwhile, a discussion was held in Parliament today focusing on the links between drug trafficking, organised crime and politics.
ඉලක්කයන් කෙසේ වෙතත් කන්ටේනර් නම් පන්නලා තියෙනවා. තාම තියෙන තැනක් හොයාගන්නත් නැහැ. මොකද්ද?
Regardless of the targets, the containers were released and no one has yet located them. Once the person responsible is found, their location can be traced. Yes, now it is us who are releasing the containers at the port. It is your government, your ministers, your president and your prime minister. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we are the ones releasing containers. Is there any point of even having this government? You are not just a failed government. You are turning into a criminal government. To cover up your mistakes, you blame others. The rocket landed in Palavatta. Now it has landed with the criminals. They may be arrested. But, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the people behind the scenes must also be exposed. Do not protect those who exploit the state under your government's shield. Reports from international intelligence from UNODC indicate that 2 containers arriving from Tehran contain drugs. What will your government do? The customs chief says the narcotics are being checked by the authorities. Now, these 2 containers that were inspected contain drugs. What about the 332 containers that were not checked? Those behind the scenes will also be exposed.
Oh. Hari. ඕම ඉන්න පිටිපස්සේ බලාගෙන ඉන්න පිටිපස්සෙම තමයි යන්න වෙන්නේ. හැම අවස්ථාවකදීම කන්ටේනර් සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඇති වෙන ප්‍රශ්න.
Every complaint regarding containers is investigated by the CID. The government also tried to cover up information regarding these drugs. Everyone knows these drugs are connected to Sampath Manamperi from the SLPP. He is now in custody. He is the secretary coordinating with former Minister Johnston. Many others connected to drugs are in the SLPP and they have also been taken into custody. Investigations are ongoing for the higher level connections. There is no problem with that. Everyone knows that for a long time political protection allowed the underworld to flourish. They grew organized crime and brought in drugs, destroying the country, ruining children's future and spreading lawlessness. After creating this situation, they come to Parliament and talk for 10-15 minutes about opposition responsibilities.
Going to go on a debate on this.
You are clear about your responsibilities. Conduct investigations properly. Sampath Manamperi contested the election, but we are not hiding anything like your former National List member. We are not hiding the fact that someone involved in the Easter attacks was on the National List.
සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච කෙනා ජාතකලයි සුජියා කියලා අපි හංගන්නේ නැහනේ. අපිට ආව තොරතුරු අනුව නාකොටික් එක ගිහලා ඒක පරීක්ෂා කරා.
According to the information we received, the narcotics unit conducted inspections. That is what the investigations are about. Something did indeed happen. Unlike you, when something happened, we did not run to Lanka. That is not what we did. Instead, we launched an investigation into it. We are ready to take action if some mistakes happen. We are not ready to give in to the agendas of various factions. Unlike you, MP Namal, we do not exploit situations for political gain. We always act according to the rule of law to govern this country.
අපි දේශපාලන නාමල් මන්ත්‍රීතුමා නාමල් මන්ත්‍රීතුමා ඔබතුමන්ලා වගේ අපි දේශපාලන අධිගැනීම් ගන්න කටයුතු කරන්නේ නැහැ. අපි හැම වෙලාවෙම අපි රට හදන්නේ.
Meanwhile, the Ceylon Electricity Workers Union clarified the matter at a press briefing today regarding individuals obstructing the operations of the Ceylon Electricity Board for party or personal interests.
Not all electricity workers are involved in this. Only a small group has chosen to take industrial action that disrupts public satisfaction with the electricity service. These actions are causing inconvenience and dissatisfaction among the public. The vast majority of the 22,000 electricity workers are not connected to this trade union action. The trade union action, known as work to rule, is not something most employees can participate in. It is being carried out by a small group that has authority within the administrative hierarchy. Using this authority, they are specifically causing hardship to other electricity workers. The impact of these actions is most directly felt when salaries are processed in the following month.
News First with the people.
High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, highlighted that Ayurveda represents one of the strongest bonds that unites India and Sri Lanka. He made these remarks while attending the inauguration of the special Ayurveda medical camp at the historic Sri Vijayarama Purana Viharaya in Ambalangoda today.
Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, inaugurated a special Ayurveda medical camp today at the historic Sri Vijayarama Purana Viharaya in Ambalangoda.
And friendship.
Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, High Commissioner Jha emphasized on how this ancient science of Ayurveda connects India and Sri Lanka through shared heritage and holistic healing practices.
Ayurveda also represents one of the strong bonds that unite India and Sri Lanka. Rooted in ancient Indian wisdom, Ayurveda was introduced to Sri Lanka thousands of years ago, where it merged with indigenous knowledge systems, creating a unique yet interconnected tradition. Both countries share a deep respect for Ayurvedic principles, focusing on balance, natural remedies, and personalized healthcare. The ancient science thus connects our two nations through shared heritage and holistic healing practices. The shared bonds of Buddhism is among the strongest of cultural bonds that unite the people of our two countries. The Government of India is endeavoring to further deepen this heritage constantly. As an important initiative under this assistance, we are currently in the process of establishing free solar electrification for around 9,000 Buddhist temples and pirivenas across Sri Lanka.
The medical camp was open to the public throughout the day. On this special occasion, High Commissioner Jha also handed over financial assistance for the development of the Sri Vijayarama Purana Viharaya temple premises.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
The acting Minister of Finance says that state revenue has currently exceeded the expected targets.
The acting Minister of Finance, Dr. Anil Jayanta, made this clarification regarding the revenue targets of the country in Parliament today.
As of the 23rd of September, the Department of Inland Revenue's target of 1,500 billion rupees has been exceeded, reaching 1,545 billion rupees, a 103% growth. The customs target of 1,485 billion rupees has been reached, 1,679 billion, a 113% growth. The Excise Department's target of 167 billion has reached 176 billion, a growth of 105%. So, these figures indicate that our revenue targets have been surpassed expectations. Accordingly, it is very clear that this stability has been achieved.
Leading voices from Sri Lanka's export sector have raised serious concerns over the government's decision to repeal the Simplified Value-Added Tax or SVAT scheme on the 1st of October, warning of cash flow disruptions, financial strain and risks to smallholder livelihoods. A press conference was held to raise these concerns.
Leading voices from Sri Lanka's export sector convened in Colombo to raise serious concerns over the government's decision to repeal the Simplified Value-Added Tax scheme from next month.
Let's say you are plucking 100 rupees worth of green leaf from your garden and you're going to sell it to the exporter to sell, to export that tea. So if I have to buy that 100 rupees worth of tea from you, I can buy it. Now I can just export it. I just have to prove that, look, I have exported this tea, this is what I bought. So we are not going to pay any VAT on the purchase from the small garden owner. Now what's going to happen is the government is coming in and saying, oh, you're going to sell 100 rupees of tea to the exporter. Please pay 18 rupees to me. So the government will collect the 18 rupees which the exporter has to pay to you and you have to pay to the government. And the government is telling, I will give this back to you after 10 weeks, almost 2.5 months minimum. The 45 days really translates to 2.5 months. So they are just telling, I will give you this back to you. Even that is not a problem. Okay, what's going to happen is, all this time I was just giving you 100 rupees and exporting, and I was making 2 rupees or 3 rupees on that export. Now I have to take another 18 rupees from somewhere and give it to the government. Just wait for 2.5 months for them to give that back to me. The example in tea is that 93% of the tea that is produced in Sri Lanka is exported. And they are going to charge this 18%, that 18 rupees on every 100 rupees, going to take it, keep it with them for 2.5 months and telling that I will give it back to you. Now we all know if we give anything to the government, can we get it back? I'm only talking about the smallholder sector, which is 75% of the tea exports. We also have the corporate sector, which produces about 25%. But more importantly, this smallholder sector is going to get affected.
Johan Lawrence, Secretary General of the Joint Apparel Association Forum, acknowledged the inevitability of sweats removal but criticized the lack of readiness.
The status as of now is that the new act has been passed and the SVAT scheme will be repealed on the 1st of October. As responsible chambers, we accept that SVAT is due to be removed in what is now less than a week, but we are all extremely concerned that the systems are not in place to ensure a seamless digital refund scheme that would ensure refunds are made in the 45-day period. We have all been in continuous dialogue with policymakers on a range of issues around the transition from a cashless system to a cash-based system. We appreciate the willingness of the authorities to hear our concerns and would place on record our thanks for the numerous meetings we have had with various government authorities in this regard. We are particularly encouraged by the repeated assurances by the Inland Revenue Department that their systems are ready to make refunds, in fact, sooner than the 45-day window. Unfortunately, however, there has been no pilot or proof of concept done to demonstrate that this is in fact possible. The impact of cash flow on exporters remains one of our main concerns. We would point out that the 45-day refund is actually between 75 and 105 days, as the Inland Revenue Department clock only commences at the end of the month following the month in which your VAT return is made.
Dr. Harshana Suryaperma, Secretary to the Treasury, expressed optimism about Sri Lanka's economic trajectory, citing improved investor confidence and the country's commitment to governance as key drivers of growth. He was speaking at an event in Colombo.
The Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, or the SEC, officially launched the 12 Pillars One Vision for a Resilient Market in Colombo. The event brought together key participants in the sector. The Treasury Secretary said that the government, alongside dedicated public officials, is committed to facilitating growth and transforming Sri Lanka into a prosperous economy.
As investors in the market, I am sure you are very well aware, it is about the choices that you make that will pay the dividends. The choices corporates made paid them dividends by allowing them to expand and increase their profitability. The choices investors made allowed them to get dividends in terms of better returns. The choices citizens made allowed the country to benefit, to bring about the stability that we enjoy today. So it's our wish and the effort from all state officials, with the support of all good officials, is to continue that journey and to transform the country into the growth trajectory that we are looking into. I'm very confident we will be able to achieve that one. Numbers are speaking for itself. Therefore, what we want to do is to facilitate the growth. We want your businesses to be bigger and better and be more profitable. through that economy to be bigger and better, allowing to share the prosperity with all the citizens of the country. With the governance framework that has been implemented, it has got the attention of international investors who were not looking at Sri Lankan market before. The type of investor inquiries that we are getting, the quality of investors we can see is clearly shifting. People who value governance, investors who are willing to pay a premium for governance is now looking at Sri Lanka.
The 33rd Annual General Meeting of the American Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka was held in Colombo today.
The American Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka successfully held its 33rd Annual General Meeting in Colombo today. Members elected a new board of directors to guide AmCham into its next chapter, reaffirming the Chamber's commitment to fostering economic prosperity and innovation. Elected unanimously by the membership, incoming President Sandun Hapagoda shared his vision for the Chamber.
We will continue to strengthen its focus on policy advocacy to deepen the trade and investment ties. You will see more of these events going forward. We will ensure that the voices of our members are heard and that we work hand in hand with both governments, the private sector, and all stakeholders to advance stronger business ecosystem.
Now, over the past few years, I have been proud to advance the U.S.-Sri Lankan commercial relationship. American companies have brought innovation and investment to Sri Lanka and have contributed tens of thousands of jobs and significant tax revenue. AmCham members have a unique role to play in this effort. You are the bridge between the United States and Sri Lanka, between our two business communities, as well as between business and government. And your collective voice carries weight more than you know.
The Chamber reflected on a year of meaningful impact, strategic partnerships and advocacy in strengthening US-Sri Lanka trade, investment and bilateral collaboration. A two-day AI Expo and conference organized by SLT Mobitel is set to take place in Colombo. The SLT Mobitel National AI Expo and Conference 2025 is scheduled to be held from the 29th until the 30th of September 2025 in Colombo. This conference will be Sri Lanka's first national-scale event dedicated to artificial intelligence.
One purpose is of this meeting today is to highlight how we achieved this turnaround, and then also how we contribute to the national development, especially our steadfast commitment to national progress, and how we contribute in making Sri Lanka digital, and how we can build the Sri Lanka's digital future. Our programs tightly coupled with the new government's digitalization program, and by that way we foster a new way of industrialization in Sri Lanka. So making Sri Lanka a digital nerve center next to Singapore or Malaysia or now or Dubai, or currently Thailand is coming up in this space. So it's a dream for us to make Sri Lanka a digital nerve center is our big dream. So this is the big dream of us and also the government. And at government level, ministry level, they are having negotiations with external parties to strengthen this area. At the same time, we are having discussions with hyperscalers like AWS, it's Amazon, and also Microsoft, and many other. We are having negotiations. Currently, we have some partnerships with hyperscalers. So we believe in partnership. Now, one thing is clear: this institution will not be privatized. So earlier, government, they wanted to privatize. Average, the average, tung average yanakota tamai aandu wenaskama une. So now government had taken a decision to support this entity and make it viable, serving people and serving country, and company that serves the digital economy of Sri Lanka.
Organized in collaboration with the Ministry of Digital Economy, Information and Communication Technology Agency of Sri Lanka, also known as ICTA, and SLT Mobitel, the expo will aim to position Sri Lanka as a regional AI hub by showcasing cutting-edge innovations, raising public awareness and fostering collaboration among global tech giants, local enterprises and startups.
The second international coaching conference organized by the ICF Colombo chapter was held in Colombo.
The second international coaching conference organized by the ICF Colombo chapter is taking place in Colombo. The conference is being held under the theme Humanity 5.0, Unlocking a Human-First Future. The conference addresses defining challenges such as ensuring people remain at the heart of progress in an era where technology and artificial intelligence are advancing at breathtaking speed. Humanity 5.0 will spotlight three powerful tracks: the evolution of me, coaching for personal growth, deepening resilience, self-awareness and mastery to thrive in complexity; fostering excellence in others, coaching for high-impact teams, nurturing human-centered leadership and collaborative, future-ready workplaces; shaping stronger communities, coaching for local and global change, leveraging coaching as a catalyst for empathy, social transformation and collective action. With participants from across industries such as IT, hospitality, banking and finance, healthcare, manufacturing and FMCG. The conference will also serve as a vibrant networking platform for those who are committed to human-first transformation and conscious leadership through the impact of coaching.
The Debater with AAT is a prestigious competition that brings together students from diverse schools across the nation, providing an equal platform for all to showcase and hone their skills. Season 5 of the Debater with AAT Sri Lanka kicked off its television phase today at Stein Studios in Ratmalana.
Have you ever seen how debates take place in the British Parliament? Well, that debating format is not just limited to Britain anymore, because it is happening right here in Sri Lanka. Sirasa TV is bringing to you the Debater with AAT Sri Lanka, stepping proudly into its 5th season. And this time, it's bigger and better. The television phase of the Debater with AAT Sri Lanka Season 5 officially began at Stein Studios, Ratmalana, setting the stage for a dynamic celebration of intellect and leadership. Out of over 400 schools, 60 schools from across the country have been selected to compete on this televised platform. The Debater with AAT Sri Lanka continues to serve as an equal platform for students from every part of the island, including rural communities, to showcase their debating skills and critical thinking abilities. Colombo Independent Debaters Society will provide technical assistance in organizing the debates.
ජනාධිපත්‍යයට යොදන්නා වූ වාරණය හින්දා නියාමනය හින්දා
කරණය කරලා මිනිස්සුන්ව බය ගන්නවල මේක පාලනය කරන්න පුළුවන් තත්ත්වයක් ප්‍රායෝගිකව රටක් ඇතුලේ නැත්නම්
Group Director of Capital Maharaja Group Shevan Daniel, Chief Executive Officer of MTV Channel Private Limited Yasarat Kamal Siri, President of the Association of Accounting Technicians Indra Kalyanage were among those who attended the event.
අපේ රටේ ජනතාව ගොඩක් ශක්තිමත්.
The people of our country are resilient. We inherit a proud civilization, and through this culture we carry an invisible strength. No matter the challenges we face, we have the power to overcome them and move forward. Silence, however, is not where truth is born. Truth emerges in the collision of ideas. Yet today, such spaces are rare. On social media, it seems the loudest voices always prevail. Why? Because many are afraid to speak the truth. Those who dare to speak it often face attacks and isolation. And when that happens, lies take hold. Deceit becomes accepted as truth. We cannot build a modern nation that way. When I speak of a modern Sri Lanka, I do so with deep conviction. I believe that it is our children who will shape this journey toward a modern, progressive country. That is why platforms like this debater are so important. This is not just a contest between two groups. It is a space where ideas clash, where knowledge, intelligence and truth emerge. It is through these clashes of thought that we nurture the society our nation deserves.
එන සත්‍ය සහ බුද්ධිය සහ දැනුම මත නිර්මාණය වෙන සමාජයක්.
නායකයෙකු සතු හොඳම ගුණාංගයේ විය යුත්තේ ඔහුට සංනිවේදන හැකියාවක් තියෙන්නට ඕන.
A leader's best quality should be their ability to communicate well. They need to be able to communicate effectively. They should be able to explain and teach things clearly to a group of people. I think this debater program provides a good foundation and a good platform for that. In this program, you will learn to argue well. In this program, you will learn to speak well and exchange ideas. This program will motivate you to seek more knowledge. This is what we need to create good leaders for the future of our country. This training is essential. On behalf of the Sirasa Media Network, we extend our gratitude to the AAT institution for joining with us once again to organize the debater program this year.
AAT ආයතනය මෙවරත් ඩිබේටර් වැඩසටහන ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න අපත් සමග එක්වීම පිළිබඳව අපි එම ආයතනයට සිරස මාධ්‍යජාලය වෙනුවෙන් අපේ ස්තුතිය පිරිනමනවා.
The competition features schools from every province. The British parliamentary format introduced to Sri Lanka during the Debater Season 4 continues to challenge participants to think analytically, argue persuasively and lead with clarity. This season also follows the British parliamentary format, a debating style that features 4 teams in each round, 2 on the proposition and 2 on the opposition, which was first introduced to Sri Lanka in Season 4 of The Debater. An exhibition debate was also conducted to help students become familiar with the format. Slots were drawn to determine whether teams would argue for the proposition or the opposition. Recognized both locally and internationally, The Debater continues to set new standards in the debating arena. The Debater with AAT Sri Lanka is set to return to your screens soon on Sirasa TV.
60 schools across the nation, covering all provinces of Sri Lanka, are ready to take the center stage. This is The Debater with AAT Sri Lanka.
A Paris court today sentenced former President Nicolas Sarkozy to 5 years of prison for accepting illegal campaign funds from late Libyan strongman Muammar Gaddafi. The sentence means that he will be imprisoned whether he launches an appeal or not. The judge also ordered that he pay a €100,000 fine.
Prosecutors alleged that Sarkozy, who has always denied the charges, made a deal with Gaddafi in 2005 when he was France's interior minister to obtain campaign financing in exchange for supporting the then isolated Libyan government on the international stage. The court found Sarkozy guilty of criminal association in a scheme from 2005 to 2007 to finance his campaign with funds from Libya in exchange for diplomatic favors. But it cleared him of 3 other charges, including passive corruption, illegal campaign financing, and concealment of the embezzlement of public funds. Sarkozy slammed the court's ruling on criminal conspiracy, telling reporters he considered it extremely serious for the rule of law after leaving the courtroom. flanked by his wife, model and singer Carla Bruni Sarkozy. Sarkozy told reporters that he would appeal the decision after the court ordered him into custody at a later date. The ruling is the latest in a string of legal hurdles for the right-wing ex-leader who denied the charges. Sarkozy, who was president of France from 2007 to 2012, has already been convicted in 2 separate cases and stripped off of France's highest honor.
Bangladesh is taking on Pakistan in a crucial match in the Super 4 stage of the 2025 Asia Cup T20 cricket tournament. Pakistan is currently in the 2nd position on the Super 4 points table, while Bangladesh remains in 3rd place. All matches of the 2025 Asia Cup T20 cricket tournament are being broadcast live on TV1, the official local broadcasting rights holder, and streamed live on www.sirasatv.lk.
The art of batik is a beautiful jewel in Sri Lanka's cultural crown, a dazzling craft that is as much as an industry as it is an expression of soul. This edition of Beautiful Sri Lanka is dedicated to this marvelous creation, which takes the ancient, intricate value of Hela artistry and weaves it into a global spectacle. An unceasing delight for the eyes, then, now and forever. This is the captivating story of batik.
The batik industry isn't just a business. It's a vibrant thread deeply woven into the very fabric of Sri Lankan culture. In Digamadulla Ampara, a dedicated institution, masterminded by R.M. Damayanti Ratnayaka, is shaping the future of this artistry. Here, skills are nurtured, transforming novices into artisans ready to take the global stage. Batik has soared to the pinnacle of the fashion world, instantly recognizable and captivating due to its vibrant, eye-catching and colorful designs. It's this dazzling visual appeal that has secured the industry a spot in the global spotlight, making Sri Lankan batik a coveted masterpiece across the continents.
Beautiful Sri Lanka.
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News on TV1.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.